Alright, the goal of this video, and there's a lot of stuff written on here, I'm just keeping this stuff on here so um, I can remember the talking points that I need to make here, but hopefully this video will help you out with that sheet or that grid, but more importantly, hopefully it'll help you, understand what these different things are and how you use them and why you would want to use them. Before we actually get into the actual savings accounts, I figure I'd just go through the actual different things that matter about the savings accounts, just so you give a better idea. The first one in that first column was risk reward. A general rule of thumb, you're rarely ever going to find something that's going to be low risk but high reward. Most things are going to be, you're going to get what you put into it, or you're going to get what you risk. So if you risk a lot, obviously there's a chance that could go bad for you, but there's also a chance that you're going to make a lot of money. On the flip side, if the risk is low, you're probably not going to make very much money off the deal, but you're also not going to lose anything either. So that's just something to think about. Short and long-term options, that just basically means if you're going to use this option, short-term would mean, you just have it in there for right now. Long term would mean like you're thinking future. You're thinking like retirement. Maybe if your kids go to college or you go to college, you could have your own college savings account. All those things. That would be more long term. Taxes are very important. Tax season's coming up. I know I'm getting ready to prepare my taxes, and this is the first year since I'm married now that I have to see if I know I have to file joint, but whether it's going to be more beneficial for us to file separately or not. And tax just means basically we're thinking about after you get your money that you make, are you going to have to pay taxes on it? And that's a big deal, because if you think like right now, your taxes, everything always increases. Inflation, everything's always going to be more expensive than it was before. So if you make a lot of money in the future, but you have to pay a lot of taxes on it, the money you make goes way down. If you have an option where you make money and you can pay the taxes, before you put the money in, and then you just get the money afterwards without paying taxes on it, that's a pretty good deal, because you don't have to pay any taxes on it. All that money is yours to take. Availability. That just means, can you go in and take your money right now if you want it? Okay. A lot of times, if it's available, you can just go in and take it. If it's not, you may still be able to get it out, but for some kind of a penalty or some kind of a payment fee. And then interest rate. I basically talked about fixed or varied. This is going to come into play a lot when we talk about loans and things like that. But for an interest rate, fixed just means that you know what you're going to get. Okay? If I go up to the bank and they say that my interest rate is 1.5%, I know I'm getting 1.5%. If I buy some kind of a stock, the stock could go up by 20%, it could go down by 15%. That's the interest rate, how much you're actually going to make. Okay? Now what I'm looking for is we're going to go through each one of these options, and I'm just going to highlight little bits and pieces of them that will hopefully give you not a complete ability to fill out that grid. You're still going to have to find some more resources, but I'm hoping that it'll give you a better understanding so you can begin to fill that thing out. All right, let's start off by talking about the savings accounts. And I just split them into two categories. You have the one that you could just go up to the bank, and then you can, a lot of times, and I have one of these actually, is an online savings account through an online bank. And for the most part, they're pretty much the same thing, but there are a couple of differences to keep in mind. Risk reward on these is very low. You are not going to make a whole lot of money putting your money in the bank in a savings account. So you ask, why would you do it then? You do make more money than just having it sit at home in a jar. Think about that. You could make 1% a year, 2% a year, depending on what kind of savings account you have, and it doesn't seem like very much, but to be honest with you, if you have your money up in the bank, and you can just set it up there and let it make $20 or $30 for you for the year. I mean, that's $20 or $30 you didn't have before. Um, the other thing is, it's real safe up there. Okay, if you have it at home, just sitting around and somebody takes it, you're probably not going to get it back. But if you have it in a savings account and somebody robs a bank or something like that, um, government FDIC is a thing that actually will insure your money. So even if your money gets stolen from the bank, they're going to insure the money you have in there, and you will get that back. Now, as far as a short-term, long-term option, okay, savings is usually what you would consider a short-term option. You're going to put in there for a while. You may take it out after a while. You don't have a real plan for it. Okay, you're just putting it there for some place to put it for now that's better than having it at home. Tax on this. Anything you make off of this, you have to pay taxes on. So even if you make $10 on your savings account, when you go to file for taxes and they ask you all your income, you have to count that $10 as taxable income. So it's funny, you may make $10 on it. If the government takes, 25% of your money, you just gave them $2.50 out of the $10. Okay, so definitely anything you make is taxable. Availability. This is a nice thing about a savings account. You can take your money out whenever you want to. Okay, you don't have to pay a fee to take it out. You don't have to put it in a certain amount of time. You can take it out whenever you want to, which is a really nice thing about having it in a savings account. And then interest rates. Interest rates at banks are going to be very low. You're not going to make much money off of it. And they are also going to usually vary, meaning that one day you go to the bank and your interest rate is 1.25%. The next day you go back, maybe it's going to be 1.2%. Okay? It's going to go up and down, so you're going to make varied amounts of money. It's never going to vary to the point where one day it's going to be 1%, the next day it's going to be 10%. That just doesn't happen. But it is going to be a low, varied rate for these savings accounts. The last thing I'll point out about these savings accounts as far as bank and online. Online will usually have a higher interest rate, meaning you can make more money online. The reason they can do that is most online places don't have as many actual banks, meaning they don't have to keep an actual bank open, which saves the bank money. And when the bank can save money, they don't have to hire as many workers. They can pass that savings on to you. So your interest rate, the money you make, is going to be more than in a regular bank. Now, on the flip side, if you have your money in a regular bank, you can just talk to somebody at the bank if you have questions or if you have a problem. You can actually physically go somewhere. The customer service at an online bank, while it might be okay, and you guys called people up for the intercom or the internet stuff, you talked with people, you may not find it as helpful as just actually talking to a person at a bank. So those are those kind of things where there's not much difference between these two things, but that may be a slight difference that you in the future would want to think about.